You're not even welcome at the wedding, you're embarrassing. My brother texted me. I replied. Cool, enjoy the gift I just cancelled. And then he called me screaming. It started like any other lazy Sunday afternoon. I was lying on the couch, halfway through packing for my brother Nate's wedding. I just triple-checked my flight details, confirmed the hotel, and sat down with a beer to watch some meaningless game on TV. The espresso machine I ordered, the top-tier one from their registry, had shipped the day before. I paid for express delivery. My thinking was, they'll have it waiting in their new kitchen by the time they get back from their honeymoon. A proper gift. Classy. Expensive. Thoughtful. Then my phone buzzed. You're not even welcome at the wedding, you're embarrassing. I stared at the screen, convinced I had read it wrong. I blinked. Read it again. You're not even welcome at the wedding. You're embarrassing. The message was from Nate. No context. No warning. Just the verbal equivalent of a slap in the face. At first, I didn't feel anything. Just numbness. The kind that shows up when your brain can't quite process betrayal fast enough. My brother and I weren't close. He'd always had a bit of a golden boy complex. Loved to be the center of attention, loved to be adored. But this was nuclear. I thought about everything I'd invested in that wedding, the PTO I burned, the overpriced hotel, the tux rental. And of course, that ridiculous espresso machine. I'd picked it out specifically because his fiancée, Monica, was obsessed with lattes. She once spent 40 minutes describing a flat white she had in Brooklyn. 40 minutes? For foam and coffee. My thumbs hovered over the screen. For a moment, I debated firing back something angry, something dramatic. But then, something cooler settled in my chest. Something calm. Surgical. I typed. Cool, enjoy the gift I just cancelled. Hit send. 2 seconds later, my phone rang. Nate. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Then again. I stared at it, quiet and still, as it lit up over and over like a fire alarm. The third time I answered. Before I could say anything, he exploded. What the hell do you mean you cancelled the gift? Are you serious? That was a $900 espresso machine. His voice cracked with that edge of panic only spoiled people get when something they expect suddenly slips through their fingers. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I wasn't invited to the wedding, remember? I said calmly. You said I'm embarrassing. That was Monica. She was mad about what you said at the engagement dinner. Right. The engagement dinner. The one where I gently, not rudely, mentioned that their wedding registry looked less like a list of necessities and more like the checkout cart from a luxury catalog. I didn't think it was that harsh. My exact words had been, You sure you're not planning to move into a villa in Tuscany after the wedding? Apparently, that counted as sabotage. Well, I said, Monica got her wish. No gift. No embarrassment. Win-win. You're unbelievable. He hissed. I try, I said and hung up. He didn't call again that day. But that was only the beginning. After I hung up on Nate, I stared at the blank wall above the TV, letting the silence wrap around me. The wedding was 2.5 weeks away. I'd already put in the PTO request, bought the flights, booked a king's suite at the hotel close to the venue. All non-refundable. But that wasn't the part that stung. What stung was the casual cruelty of it. The fact that he felt so comfortable firing off that text like I was some intern who'd shown up late to a meeting, not his own brother who had just shelled out nearly $1,000 on his wedding gift. And now, because Monica didn't like my tone at dinner? I was embarrassing. Unwelcome. Okay. I could have just let it go. I could have refunded the gift, deleted the calendar reminder for the wedding, maybe muttered something cynical to a friend over beers and let it fade into memory. But something about the way Nate had called me screaming, not to apologize, not to take back the insult, but to demand I still give him the espresso machine, unlocked a different version of me. One I don't tap into often. The cold version. The surgical strike, no more nice guy version. I opened my laptop and went into the wedding registry. The espresso machine was already marked as purchase, but I had used a site that allowed gift givers to mark things as bought even when they purchased elsewhere. Which I had. I ordered it from a high-end coffee gear retailer with a generous cancellation policy. With 3 clicks, I pulled the plug on the order. Got the full refund, too. I could have stopped there. Most people would have. But then I started thinking, if I'm not going to this wedding, and if I'm apparently so embarrassing, they had to text me instead of talking like adults, maybe I should lean into it. Make my absence a little memorable. So I texted my cousin Jenna. Jenna, bless her soul, is a walking group chat. If you tell Jenna something at breakfast, it will be in someone else's mouth by lunch. She's not malicious about it, just aggressively curious, like a golden retriever with Wi-Fi. Hey, remember that time Nate wet the bed at summer camp and blamed it on the rain? That's all I sent her. She replied with a row of laughing emojis and a OMG, yes, I forgot about that. Then, why are you bringing this up? No reason. Just feeling nostalgic. Thought you might too. Especially at the wedding. She didn't respond to that. But I saw that story pop up in her Instagram caption the next day, paired with an old photo of all us cousins at camp. It didn't tag Nate. But oh, it didn't have to. That was just the beginning. Over the next week, I RSVP'd, no, to the wedding invite. Then I got to work planning something else, a backyard get-together. Nothing fancy. Just drinks, a grill, a rented fire pit. But I was intentional about the guest list. All the mutual friends we shared? Invited. And I made sure they knew why. Change of plans, turns out I'm too embarrassing to attend my own brother's wedding. So I'm hosting a little something that night instead. No dress code, no drama, just good food and cold beer. You in? I didn't expect much. But then one RSVP came in. Then another. And another. A week before the wedding, I had 22 confirmed guests. 3 of them were in the original wedding party. One of them was even Nate's old college roommate. That one made me laugh out loud. And when I saw Nate's fiancée Monica remove me from the wedding Facebook group, that was just icing on the cake. The morning of the wedding, I woke up to the smell of bacon and the sound of my friend Mark hauling bags of ice up my driveway. Mark, who had originally planned to fly to Chicago for Nate's big day, was now setting up lawn chairs in my backyard with a bottle of bourbon tucked under his arm. You know, he said, setting down the cooler, this might be the pettiest barbecue I've ever attended. I grinned. That's the goal. The sun was out. Music was playing. My backyard was already filling with the scent of charcoal and rebellion. I had beer chilling in a wheelbarrow, a Bluetooth speaker pushing out some easy classic rock, and a stack of hot dogs and burgers ready for the grill. By noon, the first guests arrived. By 2, we had a full-blown event. People showed up in jeans and tank tops, flip-flops, some with folding chairs, others with nothing but snacks and stories. They brought coolers and cornhole boards. My neighbor from 2 doors down wandered over after smelling the food and asked if it was okay if she joined. I said of course. The more, the messier. The whole thing had a kind of anti-wedding energy. No speeches. No forced dances. Just people genuinely enjoying themselves, laughing, and slowly realizing how not stressed they were to not be informal while listening to a DJ butcher the top 40. And somewhere, a couple hours into the party, Jenna pulled me aside. You are not going to believe what I just got sent, she said, her phone already in hand. She showed me a photo, Nate's wedding. Or what was supposed to be Nate's wedding. The background was lovely, some vineyard with way too much chiffon and rustic signage, but the people? The people looked bored. And a little thin. As in attendance-wise. Half the groomsmen are missing, she whispered. 3 of them came here instead. She was right. I counted 2 of them currently tossing bean bags into the cornhole board and another on my deck, playing bartender with a can of hard seltzer and a very professional pour. Jenna leaned in. Monica's livid. Word got around about your message, the espresso thing. She said you sabotaged the energy of the wedding? Spoiler alert, I said, raising my drink. You can't sabotage energy that wasn't there to begin with. And just when I thought the moment couldn't get better, my phone buzzed. A text. From Nate. You seriously threw a party during my wedding? That's low, even for you. I stared at the screen. I wasn't going to reply. I was done with the back and forth. But I'll admit. I hovered. Then I typed. You said I wasn't welcome. So I welcomed other people instead. He didn't respond. But 20 minutes later, someone showed me a video posted to Monica's Instagram. It was supposed to be a cute boomerang of their first dance. Except, if you looked closely, Nate's face was tight, his smile strained. Monica's eyes weren't on him. They were glaring at someone off camera. The caption? Smiling through the nonsense. Oh, Monica. That wasn't nonsense. That was consequence. The morning after the wedding, my phone was silent. No texts. No missed calls. No passive-aggressive voicemails from my mom, which, honestly, was more unsettling than if she had called. But then, around lunchtime, I got a message from my Aunt Diane. The family diplomat. The one who always tried to smooth things over by pretending everyone wasn't completely out of line. Hey, can we talk? There's a lot of confusion about what happened yesterday. Confusion. Sure. I called her back. She sounded cautious, like someone tiptoeing through a minefield. Your mom's upset, she said. Nate's upset. People are saying you planned that party to embarrass him. I didn't even argue. I just said, was it embarrassing? There was a pause. Then, almost too quietly, she said, I mean, yeah. Kinda. And that's when I realized something. They weren't upset because I'd done something wrong. They were upset because, for once, I didn't play along. It came in the form of a voice memo. Nate always hated texting when he was mad. He thought it gave people too much time to come up with a response. So I guess he figured a voice memo would catch me off guard. It started with a sigh. Then his voice, tight, controlled, too calm to be sincere. Look. I don't know why you took it so personally. I was under a lot of stress. Monica was freaking out, and you made that joke at the dinner and… I don't know, man. Things got blown out of proportion. He paused. Anyway, I didn't really mean you weren't welcome. I just didn't want more drama. Another pause. I heard about your little get-together. Real classy. Hope it was worth it. That was it. Not once did he say sorry. Not once did he acknowledge what he actually said. Or the fact that I dropped nearly $1,000 and rearranged my life to support him. Or that he tried to keep the espresso machine even after banning me from the wedding. Just a passive, I was stressed. And a sarcastic jab at my party. I sat there for a second, just listening to the last few seconds of silence in the message. Then I deleted it. Because here's the thing about apologies. If they come wrapped in ego and soaked in sarcasm, they're not apologies. They're control tactics. About a week later, I got an email from the coffee gear site I'd bought the espresso machine from, one of those you recently viewed. Marketing emails. Front and center, the same model I'd cancelled. For a split second, I hovered over it. Part of me, some stubborn, old, peacekeeping part, thought about buying it again. Sending it anonymously. A last olive branch. But then I remembered his voice in that memo. Hope it was worth it. That smug, dismissive tone. Like my entire boundary setting, gift canceling, barbecue throwing moment of dignity had just been another inconvenience to his curated life. So instead of hitting purchase, I hit forward. I sent the email to Jenna, along with a one-liner. Looks like Nate's registry is still missing one item. You think Monica will notice? She replied 4 minutes later with a screenshot from the family group chat. Someone, probably Nate, had asked if anyone knew what happened to the espresso machine. No one responded. Except Jenna. Her reply? Maybe it got lost in the mail. Or karma. Perfect. It happened on a Thursday night, 2 weeks after the wedding. I was sitting on my balcony, sipping a bourbon I definitely couldn't afford but absolutely deserved, when my phone started vibrating like it had something urgent to confess. 12 notifications. all from the same source. Family group chat. Now, I hadn't said a word in that chat since the infamous RSVP. No. Mostly because it had turned into a glorified wedding photo dump. I'd muted it. Left it alone. Let them have their filtered joy. But tonight? Something was different. I opened it. Scrolled. The first message was from Aunt Diane. Can we please address what happened with the espresso machine? Oh. So it was that kind of night. Uncle Ron replied next. What do you mean? Didn't someone get it already? Then came Monica. It was supposed to be from me, but apparently he cancelled it out of spite. Out of spite. Okay. Now, I wasn't planning on jumping in. I truly wasn't. But then my cousin Liam, bless his sarcasm-drenched heart, chimed in. Wait, are we talking about the espresso machine or the wedding where half the bridal party ditched and went to me's barbecue? Silence. For about 2 minutes. Then my mom, who rarely speaks in the chat unless it's a chain prayer or birthday wishes, typed. This has gone far enough. Me has always been supportive. Nate, you did say he wasn't welcome. Don't rewrite history. I had to reread that. Twice. My mom, the woman who once told me I needed to stop making everything about feelings, when Nate borrowed my car and returned it with a cracked bumper, was defending me? But Nate? Oh, Nate wasn't about to take that lying down. He wrote a small essay, complete with punctuation, dramatic pauses, and way too many rhetorical questions. It was basically a masterclass in Apology 101. Look, it's easy to throw me under the bus now, but no one talks about how much pressure I was under. I had vendors ghosting me, Monica in tears every other day, and all I asked was for me to not cause more tension. Is that really such a crime? Jenna, of course, couldn't resist. Bro, you texted him you're not even welcome, you're embarrassing. That's not a tension reducer. That's a nuke. I laughed out loud. Then I typed a message for the first time in weeks. Let's not forget, I still cancelled the gift politely. I even said enjoy. The reaction emojis came in fast. Laughs, thumbs up, the occasional shocked face. Nate left the chat. Actually left. Not just silent, he rage quit. And Monica? She hasn't posted a single honeymoon photo since. It was a week after Nate rage quit the family group chat when I started getting the real messages, the quiet ones. The ones that slipped into my inbox like whispers in a loud room. First came Derek, one of Nate's oldest friends from college. A groomsman. Or, I guess, a former groomsman. Man, just wanted to say I'm sorry about the way everything went down. That party you threw? Best decision I made all month. Real talk. Then came Priya, a mutual friend from back in high school, who had been invited to the wedding but RSVP'd late and quietly chose my backyard instead. I wasn't trying to pick sides. I just picked where the good people were. That one stuck with me. Because somewhere in the middle of all this, I'd started wondering if I had overreacted. If maybe, by throwing that little party and inviting Nate's old crew, I'd become the villain in my own family story. But then the messages kept rolling in. Quiet nods. Little confirmations. Not pity. Not drama. Just respect. Turns out, people notice when you stop letting yourself be the punching bag. They notice when you draw the line, and hold it. Not with anger. Not with a tantrum. Just with the kind of calm certainty that makes others rethink how they've treated you. And the best part? None of these people were reaching out to take sides. They just wanted to check in. To say, we saw what happened. And we get it. I started to feel something I hadn't in a long time when it came to Nate. Relief. Not revenge. Not triumph. Just the kind of relief that comes from watching the mask slip and knowing, finally, that the story they tell about you doesn't have to be the one you live by. It was a quiet Sunday night when the message came in, not from Nate this time, but from Monica. Of all people. It was short. Cold. Polished like she'd rehearsed it in her head a dozen times before typing it out. I don't know what your problem is, but this whole thing has been incredibly hurtful for Nate. He's your brother. Family isn't perfect, but what you did was cruel. I hope you're proud. I stared at the message for a long time. Not because it stung, but because it didn't. And that told me something. There was a time, not long ago, when a message like that would have sent me into a spiral. Rethinking everything. Wondering if I really had taken things too far, if maybe I'd overstepped. If I was, in fact, cruel. But not anymore. Because here's the thing, people like Monica, and yeah, people like Nate too, don't deal in accountability. They deal in image. In controlling the story. And when someone steps out of line, they don't look inward. They just tighten the narrative. Cast the person who walked away as the villain. But I was done being edited. So I didn't let the message sit. I didn't draft and redraft and overthink it for an hour. I replied right then and there. Just once. Just clearly. You told me I wasn't welcome. I believed you. You're mad because I respected that boundary better than you did. Sent. That was it. I didn't follow it up. I didn't soften it with a hope we can move past this. I didn't say no hard feelings. Because there were hard feelings. And pretending there weren't? That's how I'd spent most of my life in this family, swallowing the awkward, minimizing the insult, shrinking myself to keep the peace. But that one sentence? That was me finally stepping out of the script. I muted the thread and sat back, a strange calm settling over me. Not triumphant. Not smug. Just still. Like I'd finally closed a book that had been open way too long. A day later, Jenna texted me again. Phew. Monica is melting down. Group chat's a disaster. But like, a fun disaster. Also, what did you say to her? Nate's been super quiet. I didn't respond right away. I didn't need to. It wasn't about rubbing it in or keeping score. It was about letting go. And that message? That one sentence? That was the last thing I ever said to either of them.